مرحبا بكم في هذه الحلقة الجديدة، حيث سنأخذكم في رحلة مشوقة إلى سوق الأزقة السبعة، لنتعرف معا على أصحاب الحرف والمحلات التي تعطي هذا المكان رونقا خاصا.
Welcome to our channel Ozma English. In this episode, we take you on a journey into one of the most iconic places in the Old City, a vibrant, ancient market known as the Seven Alley Market. Hidden between narrow stone pathways and warm lantern lights, this market has lived for centuries, carrying the voices, colors, and smells of thousands of stories. Today, you'll meet the people who give this market its soul: the butcher, the barber, the vegetable seller, the grocer, the fishmonger, the sweet maker, the old cobbler, and the tailor. Each of them carries a world of memories, secrets, and humanity. So sit back, relax, listen closely, and let the story unfold. The Seven Alley Market stretched across a small valley between two hills, a place where morning sunlight slid softly over the rooftops, touching colorful awnings and old shop signs. The market had grown over decades, maybe centuries, twisting naturally like a living thing, seven narrow alleys, all leading to a wide central square filled with the scent of spices, fresh bread, and warm life. People said the market breathed, that even when the night was silent, you could hear wood settling, lanterns creaking, cats walking over the stones as if guarding a treasure older than memory. Every morning, before the city fully woke up, the market began its quiet ritual. Wooden doors opened one after another, shutters lifted with a familiar creak, and the heartbeat of the market returned. This is where our story begins, in the early hours of a new market day, before the crowds arrived, while the morning was still gentle. The butcher was always the first to arrive. His shop sat close to the market's northern arch, where cool air rolled down from the hillside, perfect for keeping the meat fresh. His shop was simple but spotless, with heavy wooden counters and metal hooks hanging like silent guardians. He arranged everything with precision: lamb in one section, beef in another, fresh herbs in small bowls to add a touch of scent. His customers trusted him because he cared about every slice, every cut. He knew most families in the neighborhood, knew which mother preferred tender cuts for soup, which old man always bought bones for broth. When people talked about honesty, they pointed to him. Though his hands were strong and his voice deep, his heart was soft. Every time a stray cat sat at his door, he cut a small piece of meat and placed it quietly on the ground without looking. "A creature of God," he always muttered, pretending no one saw his kindness. Across the alley, the barber arrived next. His shop was the brightest in the market, filled with mirrors that made it look twice its size. A red and white pole spun outside, humming softly in the wind. Inside, the chairs were old but polished, and the scent of shaving cream floated in the air like a gentle memory. The barber loved to talk, not just with his mouth, but with his hands, drawing invisible stories in the air as he worked. People didn't come to him just for a haircut. They came for company, for laughter, for advice. He knew the secrets of the market more than anyone, not because he was nosy, but because people trusted him. Men sat in his chair and spoke about their dreams, their fears, their families. He kept every secret safely, as if storing them in a locked drawer in his heart. Further down, the vegetable seller shouted cheerfully as he arranged tomatoes, cucumbers, mint, basil, onions, and potatoes in perfect pyramids. His stall was a rainbow of freshness, always smelling like wet soil and early morning. He woke up long before sunrise, picking vegetables straight from nearby farms. He knew how to choose the ripest, how to make colors shine in the light. His customers loved his honesty. He never hid the bad tomatoes at the bottom. He would often hand extra parsley to older women, refusing to take money for it. "For your health," he'd say with a smile so wide it seemed to stretch across the whole alley. Next door, the grocer unlocked his shop slowly. He was an organized man, careful with every grain of rice, every jar of honey, every spice. His shop was filled with shelves that reached the ceiling, holding lentils, flour, sugar, tea, oil, nuts, dried figs, and everything a kitchen might need. The grocer never rushed. People described him as calm, like a lake untouched by wind. Yet behind that calm face was a sharp mind. He knew exactly how much each customer needed even before they spoke. Children loved him because he always kept a jar of candies near the counter, a tradition he learned from his father. He allowed each child to take one candy for free, and every day they ran to him with bright eyes. At the corner of the fourth alley, the fishmonger splashed cool water over his display of fresh fish while humming a tune. His shop carried the smell of the sea strong, but somehow comforting. He sold red snapper, sardines, shrimp, and sometimes large sea bass when the fishing boats returned full. The fishmonger was loud but warm, always calling out jokes to the butcher or complaining about the prices of the morning catch. People trusted his skill. He could clean and fillet a fish in seconds, moving his knife like a dancer. Cats crowded around him more than any other shop, but unlike the butcher, he chased them away loudly while secretly dropping scraps for them when no one looked. The most colorful shop in all 7 alleys belonged to the sweetmaker. His place smelled like heaven itself: warm sugar, roasted nuts, honey, orange blossom, and cinnamon. He made baklava sugar twists, nut bars, honey pastries, and soft sweets dusted with powdered sugar. He decorated his windows with golden trays, each filled with treats that sparkled under the lantern lights. Children pressed their noses against the glass every morning, dreaming of the taste. The sweetmaker loved watching their eyes widen. Sometimes he slipped small pieces into their hands when their parents weren't looking. His laughter filled the whole alley, making it feel lighter, brighter, sweeter. At the very end of the 5th alley, just where the stones turned darker from years of footsteps, an old man opened his tiny workshop. Everyone called him the cobbler. His shop was the smallest in the market, barely enough space for his wooden stool, a workbench, and piles of shoes waiting for repair. The air smelled of leather, glue, and time. The cobbler's hands were wrinkled, but his fingers were still steady. He had worked in that same spot for more than 50 years, fixing shoes for the grandparents of today's children. People respected him deeply. He was quiet, but he watched everything. No one knew as much about the rhythm of the market as he did. He'd repaired shoes while listening to laughter, arguments, proposals, and tears. Every pair of shoes held a story, and he remembered them all. Across from him, in the 6th alley, the tailor arrived last. His shop was elegant, with colorful fabrics hanging like waterfalls, blue silk, red cotton, green wool, and patterns from distant places. The tailor was gentle, precise, and patient. He listened more than he spoke, measuring carefully, stitching slowly, shaping clothes with love. His customers trusted him not only with their garments, but with their confidence. He knew how to design clothes that made people feel like the best version of themselves. Whether sewing a wedding dress or fixing a torn sleeve, he treated every job with the same care. By mid-morning, the market came alive. Shoppers filled the alley's voices mixed like music. Children ran between stalls and smells of food danced in the air. Grilled meat from the butcher's, sweet pastries from the sweet maker, fresh herbs from the vegetable seller, the salty breeze of the fishmonger's counter. Each shop had its loyal customers, families lined up at the butcher's counter, choosing cuts for lunch. He greeted them with his deep, warm voice, giving cooking tips to young brides and jokes to elderly men. The barber's chairs were always full. Men came for a shave, a haircut, or simply to hear the latest stories. The barber laughed so loudly that people walking outside smiled without knowing why. At the vegetable seller's stall, women touched tomatoes softly, testing freshness with practiced hands, while he recommended the best vegetables for soups, salads, or stews. Inside the grocer's shop, the smell of spices wrapped around everyone like a warm blanket. He filled bags of rice carefully, measured spices with accuracy, and warned kids not to drop their candies. The fishmonger raised his voice above everyone else, calling out deals on shrimp or announcing the arrival of a rare fish. People trusted his honesty, even when he argued too loudly. The sweet maker placed fresh trays in the window and watched as crowds circled around them, unable to resist. The cobbler worked slowly, quietly, watching people pass by. Some stopped to talk to him, others simply waved, knowing he was as much a part of the market as the stones beneath their feet. The tailor welcomed customers looking for elegance, fixing hems, adjusting shoulders, and telling them gently, "Patience, beauty takes time." As the day continued, these workers supported each other more than people noticed. The butcher would send the vegetable seller bones for his dog. The barber brought tea from the grocer. The sweet maker delivered pastries to the cobbler every Friday morning. The tailor helped the fishmonger repair his torn apron. The 7 alley market wasn't just a place of business. It was a family without the need for blood. Their lives intertwined like threads in a tapestry. One afternoon, a sudden storm formed over the city. Heavy clouds gathered, thunder rumbled, and then rain fell so hard that people ran for shelter. The market nearly emptied in minutes, except for the workers. Water rushed through the alleys, threatening to damage goods and flood the shops. But the workers didn't panic. The butcher closed his shutters. The vegetable seller covered his produce with canvas sheets. The barber helped the tailor bring fabrics inside. The grocer lifted bags of flour to higher shelves. The fishmonger dragged his counter back. The sweetmaker saved his pastries, and the cobbler blocked the water from entering his tiny workshop. They worked together like one body, each helping the other. When the rain finally stopped, the market was a mess, mud everywhere, water puddles, fallen crates, but together they cleaned everything. They swept, pushed water away, rearranged goods, reopened their stalls, and laughed through their exhaustion. By sunset, the market looked alive, again shining even more brightly than before. That night, as the lanterns flickered and the alleys quieted down, the workers stood in the square together, breathing in the cool air. They didn't need to speak. The gratitude was clear in their eyes. The 7 Alley Market had survived another challenge, not because of luck, but because of the people who loved it. And that is how life continued there, day after day, year after year, filled with teamwork, kindness, small miracles, and stories waiting to be told. Today's story introduced the 7 Alley Market and the people who give it life: the butcher, the barber, the vegetable seller, the grocer, the fishmonger, the sweetmaker, the cobbler, and the tailor. We explored their shops, their clients, their personalities, and how they work together as one community. A storm tested them, but their unity restored the market and revealed the strength of their bond. Now that you've listened to the full story, here are a few questions to see what you understood and to hear your thoughts in the comments. Which worker was your favorite in the story and why? If you visited the 7 Alley Market, which shop would you go to first? What moment in the story stood out most to you? What does this market teach us about community and teamwork? If there was a new character to add to the market, what job should they have? Thank you so much for listening to today's story. If you enjoyed our journey through the 7 Alley Market, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us create more stories to enjoy and learn from. See you in the next episode, and until then, keep learning, keep dreaming, and keep exploring new worlds through stories.